So without further ado, let me introduce you to Mr. Jon Hollenberg, here today to talk to us about crafting the perfect web marketing strategy. John, how are you, mate?
Hello. And Ben, we're amongst friends. We got some awesome people on here. We got Pat, Jemima, Katie that I saw was in there as well. So
hello, Jeff, actually. How are you, Jeff? Long time no speak. Good to see you.
We got a party going on.
Awesome.
So, do you want me to kick off, Ben, or?
Mate, I'm going to mute myself here, and I'm going to hand over to you. So, if anyone needs me, I'm here. Just throw a message in the chat window.
Awesome, yeah, and just give me the heads up because I don't see that chat window. So, if someone's got a question, just jump in at any time. Let me know. Otherwise, I'll punch through this. I think I want to keep it nice and punchy. I know everyone's busy today. You have my commitment that I'm going to bring my A game. We'll go deep on a bunch of stuff and really just try and deliver some value, some actionable stuff that you can get out there and implement. We'll have a Q&A at the end. So, but if you've got a burning question or whatever throughout, just sing out and I'll do my best to answer those. So we are talking about creating the perfect web marketing strategy. And look, no two web marketing strategies are the same. It obviously depends on the business and what is the end goal, as Ben alluded to. But it's really about creating assets, creating leverage in your business. So if we can create these assets, then we can hopefully attract more people to the business, boost your authority or credibility in your industry, and ultimately put dollars in your bank account. So who am I? Jon Hollenberg. We are known for building great looking, high performing websites. I've been doing this for over 17 years. Delivered over 1,000+ websites, despite the bags under my eyes, still not too bitter and twisted, and still got a little bit of energy in here. And yeah, we really love what we do. You know, we've worked with clients such as Qantas, Jeep, Cromwell Wildlife Sanctuary, literally hundreds of different businesses across a wide range of industries. And the great thing about being a website designer is you learn a lot about different industries. I really encourage you to stick around. Like I said, we'll keep it short and punchy, but at the end, Ben, just remind me, I'll send you a link to the slides so that you can obviously share that with the attendees, and then you can go back and reference that in your own time. So I'm going to be sharing some links and all that sort of stuff. So this is what we call eating our own dog food. This is stuff that we are actively implementing in our business. This is how I've grown my business over 10 years, and this is what's getting us results. So I just want to start out with my sort of personal story. So like I said, I set the business up about 10 years ago. I invested in team, infrastructure, all that sort of stuff, and then not a lot happened. So there weren't a lot of clients coming through. We weren't sort of getting the traction that we were looking for. And ultimately, burning cash. So we had, staff to pay, infrastructure to pay for, all that sort of stuff. So I had to do something. And this was sort of the early days. And I'd been building websites and knew a bunch of stuff. So I started sharing that. I started creating content, really unpacking my brain as to what are we doing when we work with a client in a one-on-one basis. So really just sort of documenting that, telling it in a bit of a storytelling fashion. And I sort of collated a few hundred blog posts over the years. And that sort of set the foundation for my book, Love at First Sight. So we describe this as the no BS guide to getting your website firing. It's a good insight into the process and the methodology that we go through when we approach a project. And because I'd sort of unpacked my brain so much, I was able to quite easily sort of put this together. And obviously it still took a truckload of work and all that sort of stuff. But I was able to just sort of shape and mold it and use a lot of the hard work that I've done. And the reason I'm telling you this is it's about creating evergreen content, about creating assets that you can then use as leverage in the long run. So the end result, after 10 years, we're a 10+ employee business. We're profitable, and we've got a queue of people lining up to work with us. So certainly life is a lot easier after investing in these assets and building these evergreen sort of things. So what I want to do today is go into what are some of the pieces of the puzzle. What does a good sort of holistic web strategy look like? So we're going to be focusing on the on-site, so conversions. When people come through to your website, what do we want them to do? We want them to ultimately raise their hand and continue that discussion offline. We're going to talk about mobile responsiveness, making sure that the site looks great on all your different devices. We're going to be talking about content. So I spoke briefly about content then. We're talking about dangling a carrot. So really trying to get some engagement on the website. And then finally talking about telling your story. So I'll launch into it. As I said, focusing on conversions is really around getting someone to raise their hand. When they come through to your site, we want to make sure that we have given them the best possible chance of getting in touch. And there are a whole bunch of stuff that comes with this, but I'm going to cover off on what are some of the main things from a design perspective that you should be doing when you design and build your website. So this might sound pretty common sense, but making sure that your phone number is top right-hand corner of the page. And not a lot of people actually do this. What we just need to make sure is that when someone is ready to pick up the phone and have a chat, they can find the information that they need straight away. I want to be really clear about what your business does in the headline. So as for us, we build great looking, high performing websites. So someone in a glance should be able to see who you are, what you do. Video is very engaging. If you can have what we call a wide video, and I'll be covering off on that a bit later on, having that front and center, telling a story about why you get out of bed every day and do what you do. Benefit written copy. So not stuff about how good you are, but how your product or service solves a problem in the marketplace. So really focus on features and benefits. What is in it for the customer? Testimonials. So making sure that you've got that social proof, because if you're half decent at what you do, there's probably you've got some fans, some people that are very happy with stuff that you've done for them, and they'd be more than happy to share that. So whip out your iPhone, get a video of that, collate that into some sort of little show reel of people's testimonials, and that's the social proof that that you're looking for when someone is looking to work with a business like yours. And on that same sort of vein, communicating proof and trust through logos. So you might be part of an association or a trade group or something like that. So all these little trust items should be front and center on your homepage. Ideally, we want to capture their details, and I'll get to that in a moment in terms of different methods or ways that you can do that. And then using guarantees, so reversing all risk in this equation. So if you have a money back guarantee or a design guarantee or whatever, then be very clear and upfront about that. Finally, so we've got team members. People buy from people. So if we can have actual pictures of team members on your site, then it just adds just another level or dimension to that. And we see this a lot, that clients sort of tend to just opt for, say, stock photography or something like that. If you can, just get a photo shoot, get someone to come down to the business, and it is generally sort of cost effective. For $800,000, you can get a really good quality photo shoot with actual team members that work within your business, and you scatter those pictures throughout the site. And then finally, load time, making sure that the site loads nice and quick. So this is more a function of website hosting, and it really has an impact on conversion. So for every second the site takes to physically load, people get bored, they wander, they start looking at cat videos or whatever. So we need to make sure that the load time is nice and quick. So I've just sort of covered off on the main things there. You can go a lot deeper into this, and I do that in my book. There's actually a blog post on my site as well, so I'll share that link with you, Ben, so that you can put that in the show notes at the end. And so there's some of the main things that you should be thinking about from a conversion perspective. We then want to make sure that the site is mobile friendly. So these bad boys, these are generating about 60, the numbers that we're seeing, and it depends from industry to industry and site to site, but anywhere upwards 60-70% of traffic. So it really is a mobile first approach that you should be looking at. So we use an approach called responsive design. So everywhere from a 27-inch monitor down to a laptop, across to an iPad, and then down to your phone. Essentially what's happening is you've got these building blocks, and the building blocks are just resizing or reformatting depending on the available screen width or the real estate. And essentially all it does, you can see here on this phone, it's just cascading those blocks. So if it's a smaller screen, it'll just stack them on top of each other to create a big, long, flowing page. So that's the approach that Google actively promote from, you know, this is how you should build your website using responsive design. If you have an existing website, just go to Google and just punch in Google mobile friendly test. It'll take you straight to an interface like this. And still, there are literally massive names that have still not jumped on the bandwagon. So you can see whether you get a big tick from Google and just cover off on that. So that's certainly something that you should be approaching if you're designing and building a new website. Now, content. Content is something that I'm very passionate about. You know, the old saying, content is king. I'll tell a little bit of story. This is Tanya. Tanya started working with us about 7 or 8 years ago. And at the time, she was a government employee. She was working, I think, in a small 2x2 cubicle or something in Canberra. And what she used to do was she would go home every night, set up on the kitchen table and start creating these beautiful bespoke sort of bridal hair pieces and garters and all that sort of stuff. That's what she loved doing. So we built her a site, and at that stage, you know, she didn't, I don't think she wanted a blog at the time or whatever. And not a lot happened. So then she started reading about this thing called content marketing, and she started creating and sharing all this awesome content about her new collections and stuff that she was bringing to the market. And she'd organize her friends on the weekend, and they'd go out and they'd do these awesome photo shoots, and you know, just very low cost, low budget, but just really good quality. And ultimately, this is what Google want. They want what they call magazine style quality. You can see that, you know, she's invested the time and the effort to create good photographs and, you know, write text and all that sort of stuff, but do it consistently as well. She created how-to videos. And these screenshots were taken a little while ago, but I'm sure these are up to, you know, 10,000 plus now. And even with her video creation, she spent some time and the effort to do that. And this is all just done, you know, on her laptop in her kitchen. The end result was she started getting so much traffic to her site. Google loved her because she was creating good quality content that was helpful, that was getting tremendous engagement, so they can measure how long someone stays on your site and the engagement level with the content. So typing in a search phrase like this, so the bridal market is typically a very competitive one. And even the Sydney marketplace is also even more competitive, right? So typing in a search phrase like this, she's sitting there at number 2 position, and that's just for one variation of the keywords. So she's literally got hundreds and hundreds of different variations, and you can see that they're all generating good quality traffic. So these numbers compound, and it's called like the long tail, and essentially those numbers add up to really big numbers. So by creating that good quality content, she was able to get a tremendous amount of traction. She actually started getting noticed by offline publications and getting featured in magazines and all that sort of stuff. So that was the sort of traction that she was getting through this content. So Tanya was able to build her business. She was able to leave that government job, and she now does this full time. She has a team of people helping her, and she does some very good numbers through her website, just in terms of sales and all that sort of stuff. So ideas for content. We talk about content with clients, their eyes glaze over and they think it's all so hard. And, for the average business owner, life is pretty darn busy. And I get that. But there are already tools and assets that you already have within your site. So if you're creating proposals and you're going into some detail around proposals, I'm sure there's IP there that you can extract, and they're like instant blog posts that you've got. Examples of content would be frequently asked questions, how-to videos. So in Tanya's example, how to bundle a bridal veil and all that sort of stuff. If you're more product focused, so product reviews, general sort of industry news updates. Try and be the authority, the leader, the aggregator of stuff that's happening in your industry. And, lists, people love lists. So that sort of content is limitless. So you just got to really open your eyes. Another really great way of creating content, I literally do, if I'm on a sales call with a client and I get asked a question, and that question I haven't answered before, make sure I take a note of it so that I can answer it in the form of a blog post. Because if someone's asking me that question, there's surely someone else out there who's also asking that question and probably punching into Google to find the answer to that. So I want to be the person who's answering these questions. Hey, Ben, I might just check in with you. How are we going so far?
Mate, we're doing pretty well. Sorry, I just had to quickly unmute myself. No, look,
that's good.
We're going well. Look, I think probably the key point that I want to just throw out to everybody there is that this whole thing about mobile, right? So the amount of website traffic that is now coming from mobile devices, people using their phones or their tablets to look at your website, it is really quite amazing. Like it's
yep.
This is not just a. So John, block your ears. This is not just a web guy or a marketer's, if you do have access to your website analytics, which should be pretty easy to get access to in most cases, it should be fairly easy to see a breakdown there of how much of your traffic is coming from mobile devices. And I can say, I mean, grassroots IT from, even from our stuff, the numbers are really substantial. And if your website doesn't look good on a mobile device, people are just going to get real frustrated real quick. So I think run that free check that John had that link up to before, and we'll stick that in the show notes too for you afterwards.
Yeah.
But that's a really quick way of just seeing how much Google likes your website in a mobile form.
Yeah, there's actually another speed test. There's another test you can do just while I think of it. It's called, if you just Google speed test and then punch that in, let's see where Google actually rank for their own website. Here you go, 62 out of 100. Got some work to do.
What have the rest of us got?
So there you go, 92 is a bit better. But it actually gives you a breakdown between mobile and desktop, but it gives you some actionable stuff that you can fix as well. So that's something that's also, I sort of touched on speed before. That's something that is of value in terms of just taking a look at that as well.
Very good. Awesome, mate. Thank you.
Cool. All right, I'll crack on. So I am up to number 4, dangling a carrot. And what we really want to do is, it's one thing to sort of present a site and talk about features and benefits and how good you are, but we want some level of interaction. We want some contact details so that we can potentially continue that conversation. And ideally it's in an automated fashion, which is more leverage for you. So the way we've done that is, I put a lot of blood, sweat and tears in this. I wanted to make some leverage from it. So I engaged a professional voice-over artist to actually narrate the book. And he has much more docile tones than me. Sounds a lot sexier. So he recorded it from start to finish, and we basically give that away free of charge on our site. So the aim here is to give something of tremendous value completely away free of charge. The only thing you want to do is capture their details in exchange for that. So through our site, on the book page, people are able to click on the link, they download a free audio book, and resources. So there's a bunch of resources that are referenced throughout the book as well. There's an opt-in asking for their full name and their email address. And essentially that, I implemented that system maybe, I think a year and a half ago now. And just on autopilot, it's built a list of 2,000 people. So when someone comes in, and I encourage you to do it, you'll actually get a sequence of emails after that. So for the next 2 weeks, what I do then is in a very conversational tone, drip feed the more content. And essentially it's the same content that's in the book and the audio book, but just in the form of blog posts. And so hopefully you're sort of triggering here that you can create content once, but you can reformat it. It can be in different modalities, all that sort of stuff. So this is using what we call marketing automation tool. And essentially it allows you to do conditional stuff. So if someone comes into your list, you can run them through a sequence. So I can send them 7 or 8 emails over a period of time. You can do conditional logic. So if they do this, if they click on a link, then do this action, send them this content. Or if they do that, then send them this other thing. So you can do all that sort of stuff. You can get quite tricky with it. So essentially we're getting them to opt in, and then we're trickling stuff through. So we're creating all those little touch points along the way in a very leveraged fashion. Another way of doing this is through quizzes. And we've been doing a lot of this of late. What you want to do is give someone a really quick win up front. So to see where they rank. People are always interested in benchmarking themselves as to where they currently sit, because maybe deep down they know that things could be improved or whatever. So same deal. This is a quiz. So this is for a human resources company. We put in they capture the details: first name, last name, email, phone, and then they go through. It's about 40 questions. And they're pretty short and punchy, and it wouldn't take someone more than say 4 or 5 minutes to complete this quiz. So they get through that. At the end of it, they get a result. So that gives you a percentage and then a breakdown for the different categories. And in addition, we email that through to them. So they get an email in the inbox, another touch point. So with that email, it doesn't actually show it here in this email, but it's branded from the owner of the business. And they're able to directly reply and continue that conversation. So there's a call to action in the email saying, are you interested in improving some of this stuff within your organization? Just hit reply and I'll let you know what the next step is. So doing this sort of stuff, and it's all automated. You do the work once and it just ticks away. So quizzes are really good. So finally, I want to talk about telling your story. So since the eons of time, human beings have been telling stories. So you get much more of a connection when you tell things through a story. So instead of saying, rah, rah, we're awesome, we do this, we do that, telling a story, why do you get out of bed every day and do what you do? Why? Focus on the why. And you've probably heard of Simon Sinek and Focus on the Why. It's a very popular book, but there's tremendous power in this. So when we are able to weave some story throughout the site, then you just get that such more in-depth, intimate connection with a client. So this is actually, we've done this with financial planners. These guys are actually concreters. So they, this is the largest zinc mine out in the Northern Territory. We went up there and shot a 2-minute documentary about why they do what they do. So this is it here. You probably won't get the full audio coming through, but I'll just play a little bit of the video so you get a feel for the general sort of polish and the visuals, and look, granted, this is a mine site, so it probably looks quite impressive, but there's no reason why you can't build a story out of your business. Everyone has a story. Everyone has something to share. And if you can tell that story, then you're going to have a much greater connection in here. So what I've done, Ben, is I've actually given you some examples of different sites. So these are just examples probably in the last 12 months of sites that we've built where we actually partner with a video company. And we go out. We actually just got back from Singapore shooting a film on Monday, Tuesday over there for a large insurer. And it's for a new product they're launching in the marketplace. And we went over there and we told their story because we know there is tremendous value in doing this. So in the show notes, you'll be able to check this out. You'll find examples. So plumbers, financial planners, this guy's parenting speaker. If you can do one thing, I would recommend doing that one. So that brings me to the end of the actionable things. Usually when prospective clients come to us, they've got one of three problems. Their site typically looks quite old and outdated. There's nothing but cricket, so they're not getting the traffic or the inquiry that they want, or they're just too time poor. They just throw their hands in the air and they just say, it's all too hard. I'm too busy. I'm too stressed, whatever. So when you're approaching when you're approaching a project like this, you want to approach it in a holistic fashion. You don't want a set and forget website. So the dialogue or the discussions that you should be having with a service provider and a good responsible approach is the process that I'll run you through. So it's making sure that there is a good in-depth understanding of your business and what is the overall strategy. What are we trying to achieve here? You then design and build a site. So that's obviously just one of the pieces of the puzzle. There needs to be a plan for ongoing content creation. So like I said, not set and forget, something that's going to be updated weekly, monthly at a minimum. And then you want to make sure that you're sharing that content. So you do the hard work with the content creation, but then you can leverage that. You can send it out in your email newsletter once a month. You can share it on social media. You can run paid traffic to it. There's so many things that you can do once you actually create the content. You then analyze and refine. So as Ben said, check your Google Analytics, see what's working, what's not working. The blog posts that you have good interaction or traction with from an SEO perspective. Do more of that stuff. Do less of the other stuff that's not working. But just measure and refine. The end result that you should get from that is a site that you're proud of. You'll get more leads coming through the door, and you'll have world-class content. You'll establish yourself as a leader or authority in your industry. The end result is freedom. So that's really what we want. And that's where I work. That's my intersection. I love technology. I'm a bit of a propeller head, but I also love freedom. I love the lifestyle that a business like this affords me, where I can spend time with the kids, or I can go for a surf, or I can do that sort of stuff. So that's what really gets me excited in terms of being able to deliver that for our clients as well. So that's pretty much what I've got, Ben. Actually, I'll mention this, and then we can launch into a Q&A if you like. But if anyone is interested in doing anything like this, typically the process is we'll catch up. I'll spend probably about 2 hours with you. We'll dig really deep into your business. I'll get a good understanding as to who you are, what you do, how you do it, and who you do it for. And then I'll go away and I'll write a customized web strategy specific to your business. So there's a bunch of time that goes into it, good, actionable, tangible results at the end of it, and it really just lays the groundwork. So whether it's us or someone else that does it, you've got a bit of a blueprint in terms of what you should be doing specific to your business.
Mate, that was absolutely fantastic. Thank you.
Ben?
Look, mate, A1. Now, just to everybody who's with us here this morning, if you do have any questions or anything we can throw at Jon while
I can't hear you, mate.
Oh. Can't hear me? Can anybody else hear me? Can someone just
no audio, Ben.
Type into the chat window whether they can or can't hear me?
Got it.
Jeff can hear me. Jemima can hear me. Okay, good. Jon, you got me?
Sorry. Must have been me. Apologies.
No, that's all right. Okay, so if anyone can throw any questions or comments they've got into the chat window while we've got Jon's attention, that would be fantastic. But look, just while you're having a chance to type anything in there, I would just like to throw a couple of comments just in support, I guess, of what Jon said there. Now, one of the key parts of all of this strategy here is around content. So there's this whole movement in the world of marketing called content marketing, which is exactly what it sounds like. You develop some valuable content that actually helps your audience, right? Your potential clients, etc., and that will do wonderful things for your website traffic, for your inbound leads, etc. It is not a short game. It is a medium to long-term game, and that long tail of content builds up over time. Google loves it. Your potential clients love it. It's a wonderful thing. Now, one of the tricks that we use at Grassroots IT to help us develop all this content, and John mentioned this, is come up with a bit of content with an idea. Now, and use that idea in multiple different channels. So to give you an example, I have a great source of content, and his name is Jon Hollenberg. Now, we have got a blog post on the Grassroots IT website with John. We have done a podcast episode on our podcast, which is the smallbusinesstechshow.com. We have done a podcast episode with John. We are currently doing a webinar with John. We are recording this webinar, and this webinar will then go up to YouTube, and it will be embedded in our website as well as another blog post. It will also then be promoted out through our email newsletter, right? Mm-hmm. So I've essentially got this one bit of content, which in this instance is John, and we're able to leverage that one bit of content across all of these different channels, right? Different people consume content in different ways. Some people like listening to a podcast sitting in the car on the way to work in the morning. Some people read a blog, horses for courses. All of that content out there is great for your Google juice, right? For your website traffic, etc. But it also appeals to different people, who learn and listen and consume in different ways. So I think that was something that John did talk through there, but I did just want to throw in my own 2 cents there, because I think that's a really valuable point.
Yeah. And just on that, so your site ranks really well now, Ben. And if I just Googled my name, there's no better tick of credibility or authority than when you're featured on someone else's site. So it's sort of win-win in that regard also.
So mate, are we actually ranking higher in Google for your name than your own website?
It does look like that after my LinkedIn profile.
I'll take that as a win. I'm happy with that.
There you go. It just shows the power of doing that. So yeah, tremendous value. Just look for partnership opportunities around that.
Absolutely.
And just continue to add value.
And look, the other thing that I'll just throw out there before we do wrap up is John has got some great content on his website. Hit up his website and sign up for that. I was about to say an ebook, but it's not an ebook, John. It's an audio book. Am I right? It's
an audio book. Yeah, literally. If you go to, I'll put this here. It's the book page, and you're able to grab the audio book, put in your name, email, and you'll get a whole bunch of MP3 files you can transfer to your smartphone or your computer or whatever. Awesome. And I'm a big audio consumer. I love audio. I like to run. I drive and all that sort of stuff.
So look, what I'd also suggest is when you sign up for that audio book, right, that will drop you onto John's marketing funnel, right, which is also what he spoke about before. So you will start to actually experience yourself what this drip feed of email content looks like, and that can give you some inspiration as to how you yourself can start to implement that sort of stuff. So you use this as a bit of a learning experience for yourself to actually see John walking the walk, as well as just talking the talk about how this can all work and how you can maybe implement this into your strategy.
Spot on.
Fantastic. All right, mate. Look, let's wrap it up there. That is about a half-an-hour webinar, which I'm pretty happy with. Thank you, everybody, for attending. We will be sending out an email with a link to a recording, as well as various show notes and links, etc., from this. So keep an eye on your inbox for that. John, thank you so much for your time, mate. Absolute wealth of knowledge as always.
Yeah, thank you. No, I appreciate it. And if anyone's got any questions, just feel free to sing out. My email address was in there. Hit me up on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, and happy to help.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you all. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Thank you.